So I'm gonna do another video. I know it's pretty late, but I did a video on this earlier. I did another recording, but it turned out really bad. Like I was constantly moving the screen and stuff, and I didn't provide enough information on stuff either, and I didn't like how the take turned out, so I'm gonna redo it. So President Washington has declined to serve a third term as president of the United States. As Washington steps down, the divide between pro and anti Washington political factions grew into two separate political parties: the Democratic Republicans and the Federalists. Both parties will be running multiple candidates in hopes that the offices of president and vice president will be filled by members of the same party. Only 9 of the 16 states vote for president by popular vote. These states will be the key states Adams and Jefferson need to focus on winning. So we're going to play as Jefferson. He's the author of the Declaration of Independence. He wrote the Constitution. He's the first ever Secretary of State. Extremely important politician. Uh, Thomas Jefferson is the only person popular enough to put up a good fight against John Adams in the race for the presidency. Jefferson is a well-known Francophile, and this could cause him trouble on the campaign trail. And Aaron Burr is your only option in this election. Although he's running as a separate candidate because the back in the day the election laws were that you didn't have a VP selection. It was the runner up that became vice president. So an elector would cast two votes for president, and whoever one elector would do that, and when all the electoral votes were counted, it would basically just be the loser would win the second place. So Jefferson is the obvious Republican Democratic. That's just another spelling for Democratic Republican. It the Federalists had a name, but the Republicans changed their name a lot in the early days because they were dominant. So hopefully Burr will be able to receive the second most electoral votes and become vice president. So yeah, so at the beginning, um, Adams is winning, but you can change that. So as people stomp across the country in your name, what do you want to emphasize? Um, yeah, you need the third option is the best one. The first one, it's way too offensive against Adams. In these days, candidates weren't there wasn't much attack like personal attacks done by the people. There wasn't any actually. It was all done by supporters. Supporters did everything. So, like it says, supporters need to do it. And the second one, yeah, the first two are just offensive. So I do the third one because you want to play yourself up. It's a safe strategy. Uh, so Air Burr's actually openly campaigning. And this one is extremely important, this question, because if you do the first option, work out a deal with the New York state legislature, um, you lose South Carolina, but you gain New York automatically. And I think that's a good sacrifice because South Carolina only got 8 votes. And there's a question later about Thomas Pinckney, who's from South Carolina. And you won't have to worry too much about it. And New York got 12, so it's 12-8. I wouldn't. So yeah, I do that. I take the chance with it. So your opinion on the Whiskey Rebellion? Um, yeah, I would repeal the tax, but what extent could voting rights could be guaranteed? The fourth one, there's Yeah, this third one's too conservative. The second one is too radical, and the first one's not really addressing anything. You don't want to associate yourself with pain. Uh, yeah, you want to be anti-slavery, even though, yeah, because Jefferson. I mean, I'm not gonna get into that, but anyway, the in depths of that. But your opinion on the tariffs? Yeah, Jefferson was sort of anti-tariff. Later on, the Democratic Republicans would be more pro-tariff as they became like it became a dominant party. America was a dominant party state. Um, yeah, the first one's terrible. Do the second one. That plays yourself up massively. The first one's awful. Don't select that. Your opinion on the Jay Treaty? You are strongly denounced. The other two are awful. You wanna run against that because it's pro-British. It was a peace agreement which talked about long like disputes between Britain, like naval disputes and stuff like that, and border disputes. Uh, yeah, you don't want the foreign influence. Yeah, people did not like political parties at all, but the founders just completely hated political parties. In fact, James Monroe, after something that's not really known, James Monroe, um, who is the fifth president, I believe, he tried to get rid of, even though he was a Democratic Republican, because they were so dominant, he tried to get rid of parties and invited Federalists into his cabinet, but it failed. And yeah, that was the last real attempt to get rid of political parties in America. But France, obviously, you're anti-British. Opinion on George Washington? Yeah, just respectable. He's unfathomably popular. Washington is. Yeah, you have this one. You have to. The other ones are bad. You have to do that. I support France, but you don't like the reign of terror. It's too radical. Uh, you need to moderate yourself here because you know New York's in your column. You need to moderate a bit with this. Oh, that's the wrong one. Oh shit. Okay. Yeah, I don't like when it switches right after. Sometimes it does that. I think. Uh, yeah. Yeah, you don't. There's no point in doing because South Carolina's already gone. Yeah, I mean that question's if you pick with Burr, that's stupid. Uh, this one, too radical. I'd say. I'd say it's too radical. You need diplomatic aid. Yeah, debate on constitutionality. Yeah, the other two were bad. Don't do that. Yeah, they're all too pro. The second one's obvious. To be honest, I don't think I really like this scenario. I think it's way too easy. It's not fleshed out enough. And there's a lot of odd things. Like I don't. th- that's my opinion on this. I don't think it's very this particular campaign's pretty very good. But yeah, I mean, it's very easy to win. So yeah, just let them tear each other apart. Just say current form. You don't want to be too conservative, too radical. And you want to go to Maryland here, but just even though your advisors say no, you want to because the state you're losing the most there. So yeah, this scenario's I think it's way too easy if you know what you're doing. I mean, yeah, there's not much replayability with this one. It's sort of like there's one in the Texas scenario, sort of like that, except it's even easier than that. So, man, I 58 to 41. So, so with your election, talks between you and Joseph Latoum, I don't know, I don't know how to pronounce his name, have already plotted a joint French-American invasion of the British. I think that's pretty out there. I don't think Jefferson would have did something like that. I mean, he didn't later on. I don't know why he'd do, but Federalists take control of both houses of Congress. It's unlikely you'd be able. Well, yeah, well, how would they be able to declare war then? I don't know. I don't think this mod's very well done, honestly. But that's anyway. However, your veto power will at least means you can block the worst of what the Federalists have to offer. So yeah, I got substantial margin. Yeah. So anyway, if it would be much appreciated, if you could like, comment, or subscribe. Just let me know if you have any questions or criticisms. Um, and I'll see you guys later.